If the name of Bunkie originates from a monkey, then surely Zwolle gets its name from its famous tamales. Maybe, maybe not. Zwolle, Louisiana is located just east of Toledo Bend in Sabine Parish. And I promise you, learning about Zwolle will be almost as big a treat as meeting its town historian, James Q. Salter.
Zwolle, Louisiana, population about 1,800 people. And one of those residents is James Q. Salter. He moved here as a fourth grader and never left.
Zwolle has as rich and unique a heritage, I believe, as any town in this state. It's different.
Over the years, James served as a teacher and principal, and even wrote a book about his hometown called Zwolle, Louisiana, Our Story. And he serves as our resident expert. And from one of the city landmarks, the Zwolle train depot, there are volumes he can tell us about his quiet little town. Well, quiet most of the time.
When I wrote this book, they had an office for me on the other side of the depot, and that train would come by about I'll tell you, man, hold it. I'll tell you. About 30 feet from me. Then I'd get right back there. You can see why it was noisy. The town fixed up a nice office for me right over that old depot.
The Kansas City Southern Railroad has its say from time to time, and without it, Zwolle would never have existed.
So what's in a name, and how did Zwolle get theirs? Well, some might think it has some kind of Spanish or Mexican roots because of the famous Zwolle tamales. No, but we'll talk about tamales in a little bit. The name actually goes back over 100 years, and it's Dutch. When the Kansas City Southern Railroad made its way through here, Zwolle was born.
There's a traveling insurance salesman turned railroad magnate by the name of Arthur Edward Stillwell. He left his native Rochester, New York, and went west to build a railroad. By September 19, 1896, the railroad was built to Zwolle. Originally, the line was to go to Galveston, Texas, but Stillwell had a dream, which proved prophetic.
He had a premonition that Galveston would be destroyed by a tidal wave. He was a very forceful and charismatic individual. He went in on his board of directors and said, we're not going to Houston and Galveston. We're going to go right straight down through western Louisiana and harvest all that timber, the virgin timberlands.
Some of Stillwell's railroad investors were from Holland, including a man named John DeQueen. At least that's what the folks in the area back then called him.
A fellow by the name of John, J-A-N, John, D-E-G-O-E-I-J-E-N. We couldn't pronounce it that way, so everybody called it DeQueen, such as DeQueen, Arkansas, named after him. They fell in love with St. Joseph's Catholic Church. They love this little place. They came back, they said, we're going to name it after our hometown, Zwolle, Holland. De Quincy, Louisiana, was named after a famous Dutch baron, De Quincy. De Ritter, that's a Dutch name. Nederland, Texas was established for the people to come over from Holland to grow rice. The Dutch influence was very prominent in the building of the Kansas City Southern Railroad.
Zwolle had plenty of influences that shaped the area even before gaining its name. This area served as a buffer zone between Spanish and French settlements back in the 1700s. The Native American influence goes even further and is arguably the most noticeable influence, the Zwolle tamale.
There's a lot of different tamales out on the market. In the business, we refer to them as Mexican tamales and Indian tamales, and we fit more on the Indian side.
Ginger and Bernie Box run the EB Tamale Company.
This is kind of a Zwolle, Louisiana institution, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it was founded in 1981 by my father-in-law, E.B. Malmay, and been in operation ever since.
How do you make a tamale?
Oh, it's a fun process. First step is we're going to make some dough, and by doing that, we grind corn. This is cooked corn that's ready to be ground up for the dough. Bring it over and put it in a mixing bowl. Just going to add a little lard first. Yeah, we're talking about the real thing, lard.
Then it's over to the Zwolle tamale making machine.
How loud can it be when you're just making a tamale?
Oh, I don't know. It's about as wide as a log truck going down the road.
Well, let it rip.
Let her rip. The machine can basically run about 1,000 dozen per hour. We use the what we call the process shucks, and they are ready to use. All we do is soak them in warm water to get them soft. We make between 3,000 and 4,000 dozen, and every one of them is hand rolled in the shuck. These folks have been at it for quite a while, and they're real good at it. I can't really do what they do. My fingers, I'm all thumbs, as they say.
Cook the tamales in foil in these kettles for an hour or so, and you have the final product, the original Zwolle tamale.
About 80% of our business is wholesale to distributors, so we have a lot of grocery stores in Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Mississippi, some over in Alabama. But we also have a lot of retail customers come in. They'll buy them.
Zwolle tamales come mild or hot, similar to the town's history of the past 80 years. Back in the oil boom days, Zwolle had a reputation as a rough and tumble town. Back then, oil as well as the vast acreage of virgin timber fueled the economic engine, and the timber industry remains vital to the area. The town of Zwolle, known for its tamales, inhabited by Native Americans, settled by the Spanish and French, named by the Dutch, and player in the nation's industrial age. History rolls in this town, either by train or by tamale.